The GBG is successful because it provides students with repeated opportunities to practice appropriate behaviors and have them reinforced.
Awesome. Do we have a volunteer at every table, or do we need to assign somebody? Who's going to do it at this table? Perfect. Back here? Abby and Brittany, you're over here? Awesome. Okay.
It has been used in general education and special education classrooms, as well as in library and cafeteria settings. Benefits have also been observed with elementary, middle, and high school students. Instructors and students have given it positive reviews. It is motivating for students, and instructors find that it's easy to use, versatile, and time efficient. Specific benefits of the GBG that have been reported by instructors include it easily aligns with class rules and routines.
I didn't find it hard to incorporate at all. I took just a few minutes at the beginning of the class just to tell each class what we were doing and to outline the expectations. You know, the classroom expectations are already there, so it's not like I had to teach anything new. I just let them know that if you do this, which is already expected of you, you're going to get a check, and if you do this, which goes against our expectations, you're going to get an X. So really, it was just a matter of reminding them of the expectations and just letting them know that there's kind of a reward point system that goes along with it. And really, reminding students of those classroom expectations is something that should be a continuous process anyway. So I really didn't feel like this was burdensome or extra work at all.
I was definitely able to incorporate the Achieving Success Together program pretty easily because my routines were already established, but I didn't have anything that really unified everything. Of a person breaks an individual rule, then there's a individual punishment or something like that, but nothing as a group. And that's what really was so successful, I think, about this program, is because it unified all my rules and gave an overall consequence to the overall group. And it just fit right in. It really gave it almost a bubble around my rules too. Any little rule that pressed against the bubble would pop. And it really just gave a great unification.
It works well with large classes.
Most of the time I see where my students are off task or not obeying a rule. It seems to be in a larger class where there's more distractions, more to talk about. And usually that's looked at as a negative thing. However, when you put this rule in, it becomes a positive thing because more people are encouraging each other. There's more encouragement in the room. So I find this works really well in large groups.
Because students remind each other of the rules, it creates a self-policing environment.
As far as terms on on-task behavior, the class that it worked really well in, one thing that I noticed is the students corrected themselves, but also the other students corrected each other. So when you had one student that started to be off task, you'd see little elbows kind of go in, and that reminder between peers that, hey, we're trying to do this, we're trying to achieve this, you're supposed to be doing this, make sure you're on task. And so they really worked with each other to correct each other's behavior, and as well as working to correct their own. And there was a lot fewer outbursts, there's a lot fewer disruptions. It was really, especially that fourth period class, it was really an overall very positive experience.
Because everybody wants their free homework pass, or everybody wants whatever the incentive is, and so there's more encouragement, and there's more what you want is a self-policing environment where I don't have to be the one to say, all right guys, let's get back on task. Instead it's one of their peers saying, guys, come on, let's get our homework pass. And so I find that it is a little more effective in larger groups, because if I have a small class with maybe 7 or 8 and they're spread out, there's a little less encouragement, a little less interaction. So those classes where there's more interaction, I think it's probably the most effective.
There is little effort on the instructor's part for a big payoff.
There really wasn't any extra burden other than, it was a quick check or X, and I just did it on the board. So all the kids were able to see, okay, we have this many checks, we have this many X's. And, it's just I would just walk by and, every couple minutes I'd just check, make sure everybody's doing everything, and just quick check or quick X. It was really quick and no extra burden. And, that little extra effort I did just by putting a check or an X, I mean, it paid off big time because then I don't have any, the little time it takes to put a check or X really negates the big time you're going to have to with dealing with, a student, especially for repetitive issues or anything like that. I didn't have any of those. So a little effort paid off really big.
The instructor's only effort is the time it takes to monitor students' behavior. It reduces the time it takes to reprimand students for being off task. The use of incentives is helpful. Even if a class of students is on task 90% of the time, the use of the GBG with incentives increases on-task behaviors to 100% on task, which can make a big difference during instruction.
I felt there was a little added incentive. I like to pride myself in having a pretty routine, my procedures set in place and not a lot of disciplinary problems. And usually the biggest issues I have are, kids talking when they're not supposed to be talking or kind of wandering off task. Being in a computer lab, I have tons of distractions for the kids. And so what it really did is it took away what seemed like a really small problem. It just took that completely away. And so it went from like a 90% probably rate of students, being in compliance to really both times I've done it 100% rate, which that 10% doesn't seem like a whole lot, but you really see the difference between 90 and 100%, where you have, instead of having one or two kids off task, you have everybody together, which is a pretty hard feat in a classroom.